going to be talking health this morning. Now, today on the health segment, we're talking about smoking and your health. Yes, it's a very important conversation for us to have because these days there's all kinds of, different types of smoking. And so some people say some are healthy, others are not. Well, we're going to find out today. Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who is a wellness consultant, has joined us in the studio. We're going to get right into this conversation. Dr. Kelvin.
David.
How are you?
Very well, very well. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Okay, I don't understand what's going on here. You people,
Must you understand everything?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
But I'm just stating, I don't understand.
Okay, continue.
Well, it's good to be back. I mean, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Yeah, so smoking on your health.
Yes.
The basics.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke.
That's all.
Really?
Can you vape?
Don't do that either.
So
Like
what
there's really no benefit from smoking. So just don't do it. So like that's the summary. In whatever form.
Does it matter what you are smoking?
It doesn't matter what you're smoking.
Really?
So let's back it up a bit.
Okay.
Let's back it up a
I'll
bit.
come up
Okay.
with something.
The mere fact that you're actually living in an urban area
Yeah.
is a risk in the first place. Now, at autopsy, when they do autopsy, like when they cut up dead bodies and examine their lungs, right? People who live in urban areas already have soot. I mean,
Really?
you know soot, right?
Yes.
Yes, like the
From the back
particle.
of your car
Exactly.
exhaust that is
Yeah.
smoking. Yeah.
There's the amount of soot in the lungs of an urban dweller is significantly far more than a rural dweller.
Wow.
And so it means that as you're already walking about, you are,
But the
you are
air looks
smoking without
clean.
even exactly.
So
You see, but
can you be in the rural area and smoke?
No, it doesn't change.
I
It doesn't
mean,
change the fact.
Yeah.
you don't smoke because just by going through life, you already have enough things entering your lung that should not be there,
Okay.
and you are suffering consequences of that. I mean, you realize that people, when you sit in traffic for a while, if you're asthmatic, for instance, you start actually having some challenges with breathing. Even if you are sitting in an air-conditioned car, even though it sort of reduces the severity, but you still have particles coming through.
Yeah.
And so smoking is a no-no. It doesn't matter what you're smoking. When we were growing up, we used to, hide in the bush and we smoke paper. I don't know if any of you.
I did that before.
Exactly.
I did
Even
You
that
look
is
like
bad.
somebody who would do that.
No, I don't look like somebody who would do that, but I did.
Even that is bad,
No, I
because
didn't hide in the bush.
But why would you want to be smoking paper?
I did it in the, No, because you've seen some.
Yeah,
yes,
a
you see
child.
some, exactly.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you want to
A child who will smoke paper, when they grow up, they'll smoke other substances.
So smoking is a bad thing, generally speaking, because
Yeah.
it compromises your lungs, you see. Then the second level is now what you are smoking. So what you are now smoking will now compound the situation. So the mere fact that there's smoke going into your lungs is wrong. So even people, in the old days, I mean, they still do it. Those who use firewood, they always tend to come in with, respiratory problems.
yeah.
So it tells you that it's not just, it's the smoke itself is an irritant, to your lungs. And which is why if you are trapped in a burning building, for instance, you can die from carbon monoxide in inhalation. Yes, because that's what's sort of, that's one of the components of smoke. And so once you are smoking anything, your risk of these issues go up.
Okay.
So then the second point, like I said, is what are you now smoking? So if you are smoking tobacco, and there are so many forms of tobacco smoke now. I mean, we have the cigarettes, we have the the cigars, we have the pipes, we have the people who actually roll the tobacco themselves and they light it up. We have the E versions now. Now everything is going to E, and then we have the shisha, and that's actually one of my, I mean, we've spoken about cigarettes a lot.
Yeah.
Let's talk about shisha. For starters, shisha is actually worse than cigarette.
Really?
I don't know if you are aware, but one puff of shisha is equivalent to smoking one stick of cigarette.
One what?
No, you have to say that again.
One puff of shisha.
Uh-huh.
Yes. It's equivalent to one stick of cigarette.
Okay, no.
So if you sit in the nightclub the whole night and you shisha in, it means that now you've turned yourself to a cigarette factory.
And that's the part that most people don't realize, that shisha actually, as it is, the whole concept of shisha, the scenario you just painted, the social setting, you have other people doing it, it's cozy, you're jamming, and
You're showing off, you're the ballers.
Exactly. is actually worse than smoking cigarettes. In fact, if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably go for cigarettes than shisha, because shisha is that bad.
Okay.
You know, and there's a misconception, there's a myth behind the whole shisha thing, that people think that it's safer than cigarettes. And so even people who typically would not smoke a cigarette are indulging in shisha.
Yeah.
You know, and so before long, or in the near future, we're actually going to have a significant problem on our hands. And now children are also indulging in shisha. I mean, I have personally actually witnessed it. I mean, I went to a restaurant for lunch. This was somewhere, yes, for lunch. Then that's what it was even shocking. This was lunch. You know, I sit in there, and they had the garden sort of setting. I sit in the garden. I mean, I'm waiting for I was going to have a meeting. The person was coming, and just when the person entered, a group of students, and they were actually wearing uniform, and that's what actually got me upset. I'm like, it's
in
not
your
it's,
uniform,
if
like senior high, or
yes, senior high. If they were actually dressed
like mufti,
you know, you can see they're confused. But these are students who are wearing uniform. They come in and you actually serve them the bong.
Exactly.
They start smoking, you know. So I actually had to call the attention of the manager. You know,
so you can't do this.
Yeah,
you can't do this.
Even with cigarettes,
Okay, so let's say
limit.
Yes.
Let's say you are not in Ghana. You are not smoking in Ghana. You probably find yourself in California or Holland.
Or Las Vegas.
Is cannabis better?
Are you smoking it? Then it's not.
Okay.
Anything that you are smoking is not good for you. You know,
so we've established the smoking bit. Now we are on the what exactly you are smoking. So shisha, cigarettes, cannabis.
So I mean, cannabis.
As a doctor.
As a doctor, cannabis may have certain benefits. You know, especially when it comes to pain management. So out there, it's actually used as part of cancer treatment, because sometimes the pain. It gets to a point where you need to manage the pain with something that is stronger, and so they actually resort to cannabis. So that's why we have medical cannabis out there. But if you are smoking it, there are other risks that you're also being exposed to. You know, so if there are other ways of delivering the cannabis, because ultimately it's going to get into your bloodstream and then exert its benefits. So if there are other ways of delivering it, those other ways might be better. You know, but of course, the reason why people prefer the smoking of cannabis is because the delivery is faster. It's because the lungs has a very rich blood supply, and the alveoli are very, very, should I say, porous, for lack of a better word. So when you smoke it, it gets into the bloodstream pretty quickly, and that's how it gets into your brain and you get your high. You know, so if you're going to ingest the cannabis by mouth, it will take a bit longer to exert its effect. You see, so that's why it's difficult to sort of limit the smoking of cannabis, even though we know that it does have its own complications and health risk as well. But generally, smoking is bad for you.
I'm curious about something, though. I mean, there's this thing I've heard about cigars, for example, where it's like, you say, we puff, we don't inhale. What does that mean?
They are deceiving you.
Exactly. It's because you are breathing. Breathing is an involuntary act. As you are talking, you are breathing. As you are puffing and making yourself...
Are you trying it? No, because I was looking at your mouth and I saw that have to come out.
and remember. So
but Doc, really, what's even the point if you are just taking it, puffing it, and not inhaling? What is the point? Because
what is the point of a lot of things that we do anyway?
Well,
you can't tell me that you just puffing.
Look, because vaping, for example, it's the whole social. It's like we're together.
Yes,
we're hanging out. We're you know that aspect. Then there's the issue of. I think you mentioned it, but you didn't talk about the fact that there's the bong, the smoke goes through the water. There's a misconception, or there's a conception, but there's a misconception, and you tell us, that the water is filtering the smoke.
It's not true.
Nothing is happening anywhere.
It's not true. The water is not filtering anything.
Sorry.
No, and see, and that's why. No, and that's why this shisha matter is a big deal. You see, because there's a lot of myth about it that the water is filtering, that it doesn't cause anything.
I heard this thing way back. Like,
but hold on. The water is filtering what?
Smoke.
So the way shisha works is that the tobacco dispensing agent is sitting on top of the bong, right? There's a fire, some sort of heating mechanism under there, or sometimes they heat it from outside and put it on it. So when you suck on the tube, it sort of picks the air from the water chamber. So the smoke sort of fills that chamber and then it passes through the water before it gets to you. So there's this idea that as it's passing through the water, the harmful substances are left inside the water.
In the water. And so, no,
how can you tell me this story?
But people believe it.
But for the longest time, I believed that. Because you see, when we do science experiments in the lab, we do have these processes where things are deposited in water because it's going through a filtration process. So it makes sense, right? And even gases can dissolve in water.
Yes.
So when they said it, I mean, this is like 20 years ago when I heard this for the first time. So I believed it. I mean, of course, without practice, you don't know whether it's true or it's not true. But even those who practice, they still believe that thing. Whether
But you see, that's why there's that
you
thing
just
called
want something
research and trends. I mean, you've noticed that suddenly it looks like the younger generation are developing the COPD, like chronic obstructive pulmonary airway diseases. They are developing what's it called? Lung cancers, oral cancers, esophageal cancers, and what's the common underlying thing amongst these people? They are smoking. They are not smoking. They are doing shisha or hookah.
They don't even call it smoking anymore.
Exactly, And so somebody took interest and went to investigate what's happening, and it turns out that it's not actually filtering anything. And because of the setting I mentioned, the setting of that shisha indulgence also makes it a huge risk. Prolonged exposure. Because, I mean, the average shisha duration is about 1 hour. So you're actually sitting there smoking this thing for 1 hour. Now, most people, even though they try, we have said that smoking should be done outdoors. You actually realize that in Ghana, a lot of the shisha joints are indoors. So now you have the shisha smoke filling the room. So not only are you a primary smoker, you are also now a secondary smoker. So you, the individual, when you are smoking the thing, you are a primary smoker, and then you are also at the same time a secondary smoker. And so that puts you at double the risk. And so it compounds the situation. And as I mentioned, because of the whole concentration, one puff of shisha is equivalent to 1 stick of cigarette.
Wow.
And that cannot be emphasized enough. You see, so it's a big deal. It's
and it comes to some kind of social
acceptance
status,
kind of
It's almost like if you're a big deal, so we need to do that.
Like we are the big guys, so we sit down and we request for shisha.
And also, shisha particularly also puts you at risk of oral infections as well. Because even though technically, as everybody's supposed to have their own mouthpiece, people share the mouthpieces. So now your risk of oral infections.
Some of these social vices, it's like a sharing experience. And it's like people would ordinarily never consider doing that till they find themselves in that setting, and it's like it becomes normal.
No, that's the social status thing that comes with it. So you go out, you feel like we are the VVIPs, so we are not just doing the sticks, bring us the shisha. So it gives you some sense of importance and up-class kind of person.
People share cigars.
People share, cigar a lot. They just pass it around, and they feel that's okay.
Puff more.
I mean, so it's really something that we have to raise awareness about, because it is a problem. Or it's actually becoming a problem, especially in the high-end areas in this country. So shisha it's a bad thing. We have to deal with it.
Secondary smoke, just briefly, as we wrap up.
So secondary smoke is actually worse than primary smoke. Technically, because if you take cigarettes, there's a filter at the end of the cigarette, the stick. So to an extent, it prevents the most harmful parts of the tobacco from getting into your system. But on the other end, there's the secondary smoke, which is not filtered. So if you are sitting across from me and I'm smoking, you are picking directly the secondary smoke, and your risk is higher. In fact, 8 million people die from tobacco-related illnesses, right? 1.2 million of these 8 million are actually not smokers themselves.
Wow.
Well, Dr. Kelvin, this is what it is now. Shisha is bad. So if you step out there and you feel that, if you feel that you are the big guys, you are the big girls, and so you are the ones doing the shisha, you are killing yourself.
Just general smoke. Stay away from it.
True.
Right, Dr. Kelvin, how people get in touch with you?
Well, Kelvin also MD on all social media channels. You can just get in touch.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for enlightening us on that one. It's important for us to stay safe at every level.